So it's time to finish up the April 4-core challenge, which was an assemblage. And of course, that's right up my alley. But I have to say, all of you who played along did an amazing job. And there will be a lineup of all your photos after I'm done with my project. And then towards the end of the video, I will also give you the May challenge. So for starters, I want to show you my substrate. As you can see, it is a pretty rough looking picture frame. It has a cardboard backing, some holes, some rough edges, but it's very deep, so I like that aspect. Of course, another thing I will be using are findings, bits and pieces. I have them a bit organized. Here are my broken jewelry pieces. The top box has charms, but then the rest, the more junky stuff, I have in bigger crates. And rather than putting them here on the table, I show you a photo. I organize them by wood, metal, and plastic. So the wood crate has blocks and game pieces. This one, the metal one, a lot of handyman items, and then the plastic one is mostly toys and yeah, odds and ends. And I of course will use gesso, either black or white, or maybe both, not sure yet. And then for the focal point, I will pick something from my stash. So let me get started here. I divide my background a little bit because I do want to add a little color into my assemblage. I tend to work pretty dark and I actually like it, but once in a while a little color is good. So here I am adding a little bit of texture paste to fill in the hole, and yes, it got a lot bigger than I had planned, but anyway, it all works out. And then some gel medium so I can add this cheesecloth here just for some texture and also to make this backing fit a little tighter into the frame. So here's some tacky glue, and the frame has a little rim, so this piece is going to kind of sit in it a little bit, and that will make it very sturdy. Now I purposely made the fabric a bit bigger because I'm going to use it to cover up the back as well. That way all the rough edges disappear, the holes, you can hardly see them when I'm done. And it's just an easy way to tidying up the back, which is something I always like to do. Now it took me quite a while to finish up this piece, so to save time I edited quite a bit. I also sped up some parts, but not the important things. That's just the repetitious stuff. So here you see that I prettied up that blob a little bit just to make a little sense of it. And here are some of the pieces from my stash. Now as part of my focal point, I will be using this little stone bench. It has really nice texture and design. No clue where it actually came from, but it will work. And now to all the little bits and pieces. I will alternate between my junky stuff and my jewelry pieces. I will go mostly for the smaller things. Now from here on, my process is very easy to follow. So like so often, I will put anything you need to know in the captions, and I will talk to you in just a wee bit. Enjoy. So my piece is all done, and here's a close-up look of the little figurine. I like the simplicity of it, the little hope balloon, of course, bench and all the other doodads. Now the back I kept simple, it's just black, so are the sides, just a little textured. The frame came with a hook, so that's nice, and I'm happy with the look. But now on to your assemblages, and I have to say I'm absolutely impressed. Each one of you showed so much creativity and ideas. Each piece is so unique and full of unusual items. Please use the pause button and have a real close-up look at each one. You don't want to miss any details. So here we go. Now this was definitely a very interesting and unique lineup of assemblages. Thanks to all of you who participated, and I really hope you will join me again for our next challenge. Now if you have friends who also like arts and crafts, please invite them to join. The more the merrier. So now on to our 4 core May Art Challenge. So for May we will all be working on a mixed media piece with a theme, and the theme is unusual times. Now most likely I don't have to explain why I picked such a title, but the reason I worded it this way is to broaden it and to give all of us plenty of room for our own personal interpretation. So you can take this in many different directions, in whichever way your inspiration will lead you. So for example, just some ideas. It could start with some very personal feelings, sadness or worries, or joys and hope. It could also be something about your situation, your isolation, or your town or your country, your view on the world today, or what it might look like in the future. It could definitely be serious, but it could also very well be funny. You take it and you run with it. It's in your court, and working with the theme can be a little challenging, but it's also very rewarding. And now to the 4 core elements we will all be using. So number 1, a good substrate. It could be a canvas, it could be a canvas board, any size, any shape. Or maybe you have a piece of wood or artist board, or just a sturdy piece of cardboard will do. This came from a book cover, and with just a little bit of gesso you can get this ready to work on. You could also cover it with some nice art paper. Now just working on art paper is also okay if you like art journaling. Just make sure that your paper holds up to mixed media. So that brings me to the point number 2. mediums or mixed media, and as the word says, it's using more than just one medium. Now in all my challenges I always encourage you to use whatever medium you want, but for this particular one I want to encourage you to mix it up a little bit. So use at least 2 if not more, and here are some ideas. Maybe you enjoy working with water-soluble crayons, but then you can add some detailing with markers or add some alcohol inks. Or maybe you prefer working with watercolors, but then add some sprays and maybe some permanent markers. Or if you like to paint with acrylic paints, you could complement it with some gelatos and some watercolor pens. So the combinations are endless, and it's absolutely up to you what you have in your stash and what you like to work with. Now, within this mixed media theme, you have, of course, the option to either create a painting or a drawing or a sketch or a collage or anything so in between. So it's completely up to you. Now with mixed media, it's nice to also add some textural aspect. And that could either be some commercially bought product like texture paste, gloss gel, or some stucco. But especially if you go the direction of collaging, you could also add papers and fibers and cardboard, lace, photos, any kind of paper to create a little texture. And it also fits well with painting, sometimes as an underlayer or sometimes as a last addition. That's completely up to you where you're going. Now for collaging, you're also welcome to use images or die cuts, whatever you want. I leave it very open with that. I think the big challenge about this one is to keep with the theme. So the materials are very much up to you. So number 2 is the mixed media aspect of it. Now, third, I would like you to create a border around your piece. So for instance, if you have something like this, you could use all kinds of different things to do so. You could simply paint it or draw it, or you could use a little stencil to create a fun border. This was put together from some kitty stencils, and I just like to use the edges here. Or maybe you have a little edge stencil to use, or maybe you have a stamp which makes a nice image. It's completely up to what you have in your stash. And of course you could also use some craft scissors to cut out some papers and use that to create a border. So that's number 3, the border. And number 4, which is actually a very important aspect of it, it's adding either a word, a phrase, or more. The reason why it's important is when you work with the theme, you can really emphasize your thoughts or where you were going with it through some words, through the written word. So it should be readable. And as I said, it could be as simple as a word you took from a magazine. It's something you could print if you have some little alpha stamps. You could absolutely use stickers or any kind of phrases you can find. Just make sure it gives us just a little glimpse into what you were thinking when you created your project. So that's number 4. So substrate, mixed media all the way, 2 or 3 mediums, at least one type of texture or more. Create a border and add a word, a phrase, or more. It could be a poem, or you could write a long explanation, whatever you like. That's completely up to you. So I think that's all I had for this challenge. Now, if you are new to the 4 Core Challenge, please follow the link below in my description box, and that will lead you to the intro video. That's also important if you are a video creator. Now the whole thing is very easy. You create, in this case, a mixed media project. During the month of May, you send me a photo to my email. I then combine all those photos and show them off in my next 4 Core video, which will be in the first week of June. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
Otherwise, I think that's all I had. If I missed anything, you will find some little captions here and there to explain. I want to wish you the best of everything. Please stay safe and healthy, and I hope that your situation will afford you time to stay creative and to have some fun. Until then, we'll see you really soon again. Bye bye for now.